people who work hard but no longer have a voice. I am your voice.
Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new live stream. Sorry to keep you waiting, folks. Complicated business. But make sure you guys like the stream down below. Let's get to 100 likes before we start the show. We're already at 91, so you guys did a pretty good job on that front. But we have to talk about a few things tonight. Donald Trump versus Colombia. He's getting in his first little diplomatic, I guess you would say, little scuffle, and he's winning, and that's a very good thing. We finally have leadership back in this country. Can you believe it or not? On top of that, we have mass deportations underway. We have a lot of other things happening, so make sure you guys like the stream. We already have enough likes. We got 300 people. And before I turn the face cam on, just to tell you guys, we've got a goal for this stream within the next hour and 12 minutes. If we can get 15 super chats, technically 13 super chats, yellow and above, I will do an extra stream this week. Keep in mind, this stream was basically one for you guys based on making the last goal. So you want to keep the lights on, got to keep the lights on. The lights will come on more for more streams. But we have a good amount to talk about tonight. Donald Trump saying FAFO regarding Colombia because Donald Trump wanted to send the, you basically have this whole ordeal where you have these migrants that have come in from Colombia. And Donald Trump wants to send them back, but they're blocking the airports. They're blocking the airports in Colombia. They don't want these people back. So we're told that these people are going to enrich the United States. We need them here. They help the economy. But keep in mind, the home countries of these people, they don't even want them. They don't even want them, but we're supposed to say that it's a good thing and that we want them. But that's a whole nother situation, a whole nother debate, topic, you name it. But Donald Trump basically putting out an AI image of himself. We finally have the meme president back saying FAFO with a smiley face, basically meaning mess around. You guys can read between the lines with the first F and find out that's what it means. And he's basically saying, you know what, I'm not Biden. I'm not Biden. I'm not Kamala. I'm not these weak leaders around the world. You're not going to mess around with me. You're not going to mess around with the United States. There's strong leadership back in the White House, and you're not going to get away with this BS anymore. And as a result, that's exactly what he's doing. He's basically demonstrating strength where you don't mess around with us. You're going to have to pay the price, pay the consequences. And that's pretty much it. And Donald Trump announced sanctions. He announced a 50% tariff on goods from Colombia. And these people, all the people that say, oh, tariffs are going to hurt the U.S. economy, well, we could pick a trade war with these people and easily win because you're seeing the results of it. You're seeing it instantly, backing down immediately, sending the personal plane from this president, who, by the way, is kind of a lunatic, and he sent a little bit of a mixed signal, but regardless, the action is giving Trump what he wants. He's saying that he's sending down his personal plane to pick up these migrants after Trump announced sanctions. It didn't stop him from going on an unhinged rant saying, if you tariff us, we're going to tariff you. Like, the guy's a lunatic. This guy, very far left. He's in bed with the cartels. Everybody knows it. And, you know, he threatened tariffs again back on Trump, despite the fact that he also went along with what Donald Trump wanted. It's kind of confusing. But he says that there are some admirable things about the U.S. Basically, he's trashing the country, and he's saying the best thing about the United States are, quote unquote, going to the black neighborhoods of Washington, presumably D.C., where he saw a fight between blacks and Latinos with barricades. Just strange behavior from this guy. Not the only strange behavior he's shown. On top of it, there is this debacle that he was involved in, where he's got this basically affair going on with a transgender individual that he's promoted in his cabinet. It's very strange guy, very strange behavior. All this rhetoric, the anti-American rhetoric, the mixed signals rhetoric, but he understands that it's all for show. It's all for show. Because when it comes down to the action, which is what matters, the action, the government of Colombia has agreed to all of President Trump's terms, including the unrestricted acceptance of all illegal aliens from Colombia returned to the United States, including on U.S. military aircraft, without limitation or delay. Based on this agreement, the fully drafted tariffs and sanctions will be held in reserve and not signed unless Colombia fails to honor this agreement. So already you see that Donald Trump, just the mere threat of a tariff, the mere threat of, if you mess with us, we're going to show you what America's about. You look at what it's doing. Already, he's getting these people to fall in line and accept these migrants back into their countries where they belong, because that's where they're from. They're not legally in the United States. They should be able to go home instantly, but apparently Colombia doesn't want them for some reason. But Donald Trump had to put his foot down and say, no, you're going to take these people back. You're not going to be clogging your runways at your airports. We're going to ship these people back. And now even on their plane, they're flying here to take them back now. So you see that. And already, visa sanctions issued by the State Department will remain in effect until the first plane load of Colombia deportees is successfully returned. So they're making sure that Colombia is going to honor this agreement on top of it. And furthermore, this statement from the press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, says, today's events make clear to the world that America is respected again. President Trump will continue to fiercely protect our nation's sovereignty, and he expects all other nations of the world to fully cooperate in accepting the deportation of their citizens illegally present in the United States. 100% accurate, 100% true. Couldn't have said it any better. And that's what you see under Trump's leadership. You see him just putting his foot down, and already instantly they're crumbling. They're just failing to take advantage of us. They took advantage of Biden because what did Biden do all day long? He sat there. Remember those hundreds of thousands of trafficked, missing migrant children? Apparently, Trump and his administration, within the first week, they already found like 85,000 of them. What was this government doing for the past 4 years? What were they doing? Because apparently now, when you have the adults in the room, where you have a real leadership, strong leadership, not weak leadership, that actually cares about this country, that cares about protecting the citizens of this country and making sure that we don't get taken advantage of, already it's a 180. You have a competent leadership and a competent country. What has the left been able to do? Nothing. All they're doing is, ironically enough, whining about prices because they realize that, oh yeah, prices were too high under Biden. So now they think they can shift the blame to Trump because he hasn't fixed every problem in the country in 6 days. I don't know anybody besides Jesus who could fix all the problems in the country in 6 days, okay, if we're going to be completely honest. You're not going to do that. We understand that these things are going to take time over time. He's not going to be able to just push a button and instantly inflation's going to freeze and wages are going to go up. But by the end of the first year, based on what Trump wants to do, based on his agenda, his economic agenda, the policies he wants to pass through, what he's already taken executive action on, it does seem as if he's going to see some return on investment, and then you get to judge. If you have a year and a half and you look at the state of the country and prices are spiraling out of control, then maybe you get to judge. But even then, it's ironic that they're finally admitting that Biden was a failure so long as they're able to shift the blame onto somebody like a Donald Trump, which is pretty funny. But it kind of shows, yeah, this is why, people, they're like, how could anybody vote for Trump? Oh no, the economy's doing great. Remember Alan Lichtman? He said, oh no, it's misinformation that the economy's doing poorly. Well, now, no, the economy's horrible because Donald Trump hasn't fixed every single problem in 6 days. You can't make this up. You can't write the script, but that's basically what's going on here. And in terms of other things that people are, a little bit upset about is probably the lack of mass deportations, even though Trump is doing everything possible to get it done. Hence why you see this going on with Colombia, trying to repatriate all these people, which on the first day, it doesn't go in the statistics, but how many people did he repatriate to India who overstayed their visas on like day 1, day 2 of taking office? It was like 18,000 people technically. Maybe it's not going to happen overnight, but that's, they agreed to accept the people back, which you haven't really seen so many countries do that as easily. But what I will say is that ICE and the amount of deportations they've been able to get underway, the numbers have not been super high. And part of it is because you're just taking office. Part of it is because they don't have the resources. And Donald Trump is trying to raise the caps as much as possible. But still, you were going from 300, 400 arrests, deportations, removals per day. Already, you see what happens today. 956 and counting, a significant increase over what we saw the previous day. So not perfect yet. Definitely those numbers need to go up. I would like to see them in the 5-figure per day range at some point. I really would. If we're going to talk about mass deporting 10 plus million illegal aliens, you're going to need to raise those numbers up significantly in order to get that job done. Of course, you want to prioritize the criminals. You want to start off with the criminals. That's more than fair, but you got to delve a little bit beneath that, and you're seeing it every single day, 1,000. And also, there are people that will self-deport. I know it's kind of a meme. It's been talked about, oh, well, this is like the Mitt Romney stuff. But there's a serious grain of truth to the self-deportation phenomenon, because if you're going to deport maybe 2 to 3 million, a lot of people that are recent arrivals that are here realize this, and they're like, okay, I'm just going to go back to my home country, cut off their benefits, etc. It's going to save the government a lot of time. It's going to save the government a lot of money. And then those numbers in reality could double, triple what they actually are. And you are seeing this, almost 1,000 illegal aliens arrested, removed today. I'd like to see the numbers go up there. I think they will get up there. The quota was raised, I think, to 1,500. I don't think that's enough. It might be enough for like right now. That's good, but we would like to see it a lot higher. These are rookie numbers, and you're in the rookie season. You're in the first week, let alone the first month of the first year. But they are climbing every day, and these people need resources. And I think there's finally this public mandate where, building the wall, that was seen as outlandish a little bit in some circles back in 2018. I don't know why it was. It's common sense. But now it's like you poll the wall question. That poll was like in the 40s back then. Now it's like in the 60s. And it's like, what, $20 billion? How much money do we spend on dumb nonsense in our government? This is why we have Doge. It's why Doge is popular. It's why we need a Doge. Why not spend $20 billion on a border wall? Yes, it's not going to stop every instance of illegal immigration, but it definitely will stop quite a bit of them. It'll make sure that we're able to secure our border physically and in practice in many cases, and just make sure it gets done. There's no reason why we shouldn't have a wall in this country. There's plenty of countries around the world that have border walls. In many cases, they work. They never go obsolete. So in reality, I think we need a wall, and I think that there is a public mandate to do that, and also to give a lot of security to the border and make sure that we have enough people that could go out there and enact mass deportations for sure, because we definitely have just far more illegals than we've ever had at any point in our country. And in order to get that done, you're going to need the most ICE agents ever. You're going to need the most, the most enhanced advanced technology. You're going to need to coordinate with local police departments. Some of them will. Some of them are more than willing to coordinate with ICE, the federal government. Some of them, these sanctuary cities, they're not, and that's a problem. We should find a way to get rid of them, strip them from all their funding, you name it. We can't allow that to happen. These cities that are just defying federal government. It's against the 10th Amendment, by the way. It's against the structure that we have in our country, defying federal law. And these people should actually face legal consequences if they're not able to coordinate. And this is why mass deportations have become popular, is because of the lunacy that we've seen on the left combined with the destructiveness of their policies. People have to live with them more now than ever, because you've basically doubled the illegal alien population in the country over the past 4 years. And now you're starting to see the public mandate and thirst for these deportations climb. And now you have Trump. You have Trump with a more competent team around him than he had the first time. You have Trump with a more, I guess you would say, America First team around him than you had last time. They're going out there and they're making sure they can do everything possible to deport these people, even if it means getting into spats with these countries that disrespect us. Because at the end of the day, we're the United States of America. We're going to win against Colombia, Venezuela. And another thing that is underrated about Trump picking somebody like a Marco Rubio for the Secretary of State is because Marco Rubio is somebody that understands the Western Hemisphere better than anybody else. And where are a lot of these illegal migrants coming from? Countries in the Western Hemisphere. So when you have a Secretary of State that has a lot of experience and understands the ins and outs of what goes on in the Western Hemisphere, that reorients the foreign policy back from, spats in the Middle East and Eastern Europe to our own hemisphere, the Monroe Doctrine, or dare I say the Marco Doctrine, where you have these dealings going on with these countries in the Western Hemisphere to make sure we can, man the region, especially with what's going on with the Panama Canal. Trump wants that, but also basically everything else you see going on with all these countries that are refusing to take back these people. But for some reason, we're told we need these people in our country, but these countries don't even want to take them back. It's very interesting if these people are really like the secret sauce to the country, as a lot of these liberals like to claim. It's just not true. But, that's the way it goes. You have a lot of people, and you have a lot of people here illegally, and what we need to do is get these people out of the country. And if you have these roadblocks, you're going to need somebody who is the bull in the china shop in there that's able to say, no, you don't want to take back these countries. We're going to make your economy pay for it. And what's going to happen? These people are going to whine. They're going to throw a bitch fit, just like the Colombian president did. But then at the end of the day, you look at their action, you look at what they're doing, and now they're saying, okay, we'll fly our presidential plane out there to get these people and bring them home. Isn't that interesting to see how it works? Yeah, it really is. And we're kind of seeing that unfold. And I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of these instances. But strong leadership, we have been needing it for so long, and we have it back. So that's a very good thing. That's a very, very good thing. So without further ado, I think we're going to look at some of these super chats that we have. We've got quite a few already, and I think we're going to get to them because that's pretty much it for the monologue. Also, it's just an abysmal Super Bowl that we are apparently going to have on the horizon as well. I don't even want to talk about it, but nobody signed up for this, honestly. Nobody cares about these two teams. I think everybody wants them both to lose unless you live in Philadelphia or Kansas City or one of those regions. But Johnny Heartdog kicking off the super chat says, amen, get them all out. Also, that pipsqueak from Colombia standing up to Trump and then folding in 5 minutes was funny. Makes me wonder if he thought he was dealing with Biden. Well, that's another thing, because when you're so used to weak leadership, you don't know how to react. So you're going to have like, oh, wait, these people are going to talk down on me? Oh, well, they haven't done that for 4 years. Here, let me show them. And then they're like, oh, I'm in over my head. I can't do this. Fine, here, we'll take the people back. But if you tariff us now, we're gonna double tariffs on you. And it's like, okay, you're irrelevant. Go home. Go home to mommy, as Trump would say. Johnny Heartdog for 10 says, I've been thinking about lousy Murkowski since voting for her is voting Democrat. Perhaps voting Democrat this one cycle to replace her. The next cycle will be rid of both her and the Democrat. If she loses to a Democrat, and then the following cycle we have a real Republican senator, that's only if she wins the primary. Alaska did not want Murkowski. Well, if you can find like a Democrat, because the Democrats aren't going to put anybody up, find a Democrat who's going to be the reverse of Murkowski, that has a D next to their name, like a dino, and see if you could do what you can to elect them, and then hope enough party line Democrats fall in line. And if it's them versus Murkowski, but then the actual conservative MAGA Republicans vote for the dino instead of the rhino, then maybe you could actually get that senator in there and they could switch parties. It's a possible theory. I don't know how it would work in practice, but if you can't get ranked choice repealed, then maybe that's what you have to do, because Murkowski, it just will not go away. She's done everything possible to stay in power, change the laws so she could stay in power, and people are okay with this. This is corruption of the highest order, but no, it's fine. It's fine, according to a lot of these people. They usually would complain about democracy and things like that because she happens to represent that liberal order. She's, a diluter. She dilutes the Republican Party, dilutes an actual like MAGA agenda just by being there in the Senate. She's a disaster, a total disaster case, and any serious party would do everything they can to make sure that you don't have her as your nominee. But no, and on top of it, think about how she got into politics. She was appointed by her own father. I mean, it's nepotism. The same people that always will rail against nepotism will never say a word. They'll never say a word about something like this. So it is what it is. Johnny Hartdog for 10 says, I'm a little disappointed that Fetterman didn't break rank and vote to confirm Pete. I wasn't sure if there was a chance he would, but I was hoping. Do you think Patel, RFK, and Tulsi will be confirmed? Yeah, I think RFK will get some Democrat crossover votes, probably Bernie Sanders, maybe Fetterman. I think Tulsi is probably the one most up in the air, but I think she will at least get Bernie Sanders to vote for her. I hopefully think she can get through. Patel, I think, will get through. I know a lot of Republicans probably don't like him, but there's nothing that they can really point to as a serious grievance to vote against him. He has like a squeaky clean past of sorts. So either way, I think that at least, I think they all probably get through. But we need to find out who doesn't vote for these people. And then we're going to make sure we make their political careers end as soon as we possibly can. But as for Fetterman, I'm not super surprised. He's still a Democrat. Is he going to vote for you or vote for the picks more often than like an average Democrat? Yeah. But is he going to be an actually like reliable vote for anything? No. Maybe he will get there one day, but I'm not going to bank on it. I'm going to say, hey, it was a fun ride, but I think we're gonna vote this guy out in 2028 regardless, because it's clear he's a skilled politician, but I don't know, he comes across as somewhat, maybe he is a little bit more genuinely moderate than we initially thought, but is he like an actual MAGA guy? No, he's a Democrat. I mean, he might be the best Democrat, but that's not saying much. He's still probably going to vote for Trump's agenda, maybe less than Elisa Murkowski or somewhere in that ballpark. Now, I'm glad that the most moderate Democrat is now from Pennsylvania instead of West Virginia, because at least you can have a Republican in West Virginia, and then Pennsylvania is a swing state. They should have the most swing voting senator. So that part's true. Ice Cream Junkie for 10 says the mere threat of a 25% tariff made Colombia cave and accept the flights of illegal aliens. This is how you use tariffs to negotiate, and Trump is great at it. Yeah, the old GOP would never touch the ideas of, let's deport every illegal alien living in the country. They did deportations, but they were not mass deportations. And they would never touch tariffs. They wouldn't do it. Donald Trump touches both. He wants to do both of those things. He knows how to use or tries to utilize tariffs to get the other thing done. And it's effective. You have effective leadership with Trump. I mean, so far, you have to be impressed with what he's been able to do in just 6-7 days. He has a hell of a lot more to do. But you're coming into a total mess. You're getting to work day one. You sign a bunch of executive orders. You get rid of DEI in the government. You do X, Y, and Z. And then look what he's doing now, negotiating like a madman on the world stage and doing so successfully to get what he wants to fulfill his agenda. You absolutely love to see it. We need more of this in general in terms of leadership in our country. Trump is teaching people how to win. He's teaching the Republican Party how to win. The question is, are they going to listen? Some of them will, but a good portion of them is still stuck in the old guard, the old days. Mitch McConnell, I mean, look what he's doing, voting against Pete Hegseth. Because, it's clear Mitch McConnell's on his way out, and he's just going to show who he truly is. Jacob Hawley for $50 says, as a Bernie Sanders progressive who voted for Trump, his first days have been amazing. Defending our borders, clamping down on corporatist abuse of immigration, defending American worker jobs, trying to reach equitable peace deals, JFK files, amazing. See, that's the way. Because there's a lot of people that are just incapable of understanding the art of the deal or reaching the same goals. I feel like if there's a lot of well-meaning people on, I guess you would say, the left. I don't know how many of them are left on the left anymore. But your Bernie Sanders 2016 type of people, a lot of them were well-meaning. A lot of them wanted a lot of the same things that the Trump campaign, especially the Trump campaign this time around, wanted. They wanted to get rid of corruption in government. They wanted to get rid of corporatist abuse. They didn't want, in many cases, open borders. Remember, Bernie Sanders would call it a Koch brothers proposal. Now, you don't really have a home for that type of viewpoint on the left. You really don't. You have a lot of people who are just controlled by the donors, and what do they want? They want the mass immigration. They want the DEI. They want the X, Y, and Z, all the worst policies. Donald Trump is a rebuke of that. And as a result, he's been able to expand the GOP by pulling in supporters like the super chatter. I appreciate the 50, by the way, that we have here. McLean Blades, thank you for the 2. Jacob Max says, have you seen CELAC is having an emergency meeting? The 30th is ran by Maduro and is a socialist South American alliance. Colombia will attend. I have not seen that. I've not seen anything to do with that. Top Gear Fan 2848 says, ice, ice, baby. Indeed, ice. Ice will definitely have their hands full, but we'll see. You have 1,000 arrests today. Those are good numbers. We want the numbers to go up. We want them to go up. I think they are going to go up. B. Dunn says Kamala did worse with black voters than George Wallace in 1982 in Alabama. I'm not surprised. I'm not really that surprised. George Wallace, when he was running in 1982 in Alabama, he got like over 90% black support because he said he was, no longer involved in his support for segregationism. He had a weird career. He was anti, then he was very pro, and then he was anti again. And he appointed a lot of, black judges and things like that to high posts. And I guess people just kind of forgave him. It was a strange career arc he had. Not a lot of people remember the tail end of his career, but that is true. He did win 90% of the black vote. And what did Kamala get? Probably less than that, which is pretty funny. But, that's how it goes. Kamala Harris has lost a lot of support from younger black men. And it's like when the campaign tried to do the damage control, they made it far worse when they sent Obama out there. He wasn't talking to the voters. He was talking at the voters. And that is not what you want to do when you're trying to win over groups of people you're supporting, lecturing them in general. That's not how you win voters. I don't understand why they thought that was a good strategy, but it wasn't. They got clowned on, and deservedly so. John Waffle H2P for 20 says we need to deny Afghan immigration. They sat here for 20 plus years wasting trillions of our money, couldn't get their country under control. It's weak and pathetic seeing some of our vets cry about these people. Well, how much immigration do we even take in from Afghanistan? Aren't they on the travel ban? If not, they should probably be on the travel ban. Jay Jazz says, how are we going to get the J6 committee to pay for what they did? Biden's pardons are teaching the deep state no consequences. That's a tough one. It really is. Biden definitely screwed a lot of potential investigations with those pardons, and he did it intentionally because he wanted to protect the people that likely had done something wrong, but because he was afraid, Trump's going to go after these people, they supported me, he's going to pardon them. Same thing with what he did with his entire family. It wasn't just Hunter, it was the entire family that he basically gave a pardon to. Anyone who possibly could have been involved in some shady business dealing, they got a pardon. And you kind of see it with, Liz Cheney, Fauci. You saw it with Milley. He gave him a pardon, and then the whole J6 people, and then I think one of the police officers who was involved in J6, I think it was the guy who shot Ashley Babbitt, who he gave a pardon to. So all around you see the pardons. He just gives these people pardons so Donald Trump can't get them on anything. And these are the same people when Donald Trump was about to leave office and was even floating the idea of a pardon. They said, oh, no, you wouldn't pardon if these people did something wrong. And then we saw what happened to Donald Trump, where he was relentlessly just attacked by the justice system that was weaponized for inconsequential things. And now it seems as if Donald Trump wants to get revenge, know that you can't have that. These people know it's completely fine. These people are fine. They didn't do anything wrong. But you see how these people talk out of both sides of their mouths regarding the pardons. It's just insane. 4 years difference says a lot. But I don't know how we get them to pay. I'm sure there's other ways. I mean, there's got to be other ways to go around it. I don't know what we're going to spend these next 4 years focusing on. We got a lot on our plate as well. Alex says, love you, rep, and F the NFL not watching the Super Bowl. I don't think anybody really wants to watch the Super Bowl. It's like every single year the Chiefs are not that good. They're not that good in the regular season, but for some reason they keep winning, and then they make the Super Bowl, and then they win the Super Bowl. How many times do we really have to go through this? I mean, it seems like they do it every single consecutive year. It's the third year in a row they've made it. And we understand the officiating is suspect. I don't know to what extent it's impacted the outcomes of these games. I don't know what extent like it's actually like a rigged game. But either way, it's no secret that they have favorites. But after a certain point in time, you would think that it would just not be watched enough to the point where they'd be able to, take their thumb off the scale for them a little bit, just because it's like it's getting annoying, it's getting old. Not really a fan of the Eagles either, but I mean, at least you could say they earned their way there. I mean, they won their games fair and square in the postseason. The Chiefs, I mean, there's been several suspect calls in both of the games to the point where they got there. Obviously, you can't say that it was only just that. There definitely were chances Buffalo had to win that game. They didn't win that game, but it's not a good look for the NFL because there's already this reputation that they have like, they're going to give the Chiefs every single beneficial call. And then, if it's like a blatant roughing the passer on Josh Allen, no, they're not going to throw that flag if it's going to possibly hurt the Chiefs' chances of winning. So it's not a good look for the NFL. It's really not. As for if people watch or not, well, I mean, that's up to them. I really don't care about the Super Bowl. The Lions losing, I mean, they lost that game fair and square, but them losing that game just kind of took my interest out of it. I didn't really pay much attention today to the games as they were going on. But I'm also glad Washington didn't win. I mean, I really think that if the so-called quote-unquote Commanders, really the Redskins, had they won and gone to the Super Bowl and won, I feel like the appetite to change the team name would probably be a little bit lower than it currently is because, it's like now they have, now they're winning as the Commanders, so why change their logo? Why change their name back? So I don't know. That was my rationale for not really wanting to support them. I didn't really care that they, beat the Lions. It didn't really have much of an impact on my decision not to root for them today, but I don't like the Eagles either. So I don't know. At least Philadelphia is a key metro area that won Trump the election. So I guess they have that. Even though Kansas and Missouri are both red states, it's just Let's see. XJ Cherokee Bear says any bets McConnell's on his. Well, he is on his. I'm pretty sure he's going to retire. He's not Senate Majority Leader anymore. The problem is how much of a thorn in Trump's side is he going to be? He at least was a voter for basically everything Trump wanted in the first term. If now he's going to be a thorn in Trump's side over, pettiness, over like, screw it, I'm out. Let me just cave to the establishment, what they want some more. I mean, if that's the way McConnell's going to be, that's the way he's going to be. But that's, it's just not really a good thing, in my opinion, that you have extra added drama. Just when you think you get rid of a Mitt Romney, you get another one who's already there who you wouldn't expect to be that Mitt Romney. Even though we know he's trash, we didn't know he would necessarily be like a full-on like Murkowski Collins type of senator. We'll see if that continues. But either way, J.R. Williams says, will Trump revoke TPS aliens, which seem to be the majority of the criminals? Haitians, Mauritanians, Venezuelans ruined the cities. I don't know if I don't know what status he's going to give or the temporary protective status. I think he said he would get rid of it for the people in Springfield, Ohio, which were the Haitians. I'm not entirely sure if he's gone through with that, or when he's going to go through with it. Again, he's only been there 6 days. If in about a week or two he hasn't done anything, it's something that probably needs to be, sent up the totem pole. Make sure he sees it. Make sure he does it. Mora from New Jersey says, I'm from Colombia. I live in the U.S. I hate Petro. This lunatic is destroying Colombia's economy and relations with the U.S. Well, he's a crazy person, it seems. The little bit I've seen about this guy is he's a crazy person. He's a Marxist. He's involved with the cartels, it seems. Just all around bad guy, weird guy as well. He's like into these, you see we saw the whole like transgender nonsense. It's like, what the hell is this guy doing? I don't even know. But he's definitely, he's a weird guy. And he thinks he can stand up to Trump. He thinks he can beat Trump. Yeah, that's not how it works. We're the United States of America. You're Colombia, which is fine. Be Colombia, but you're not us. You don't have the power we have. You don't have the economy we have. You don't have anything we have. So let him try. Let him try. Johnny Heartdog for 10 says, I'd like to see a 2028 election prediction video in a scenario where Republicans drop the ball. Vance v. Democrat, Trump won't drop the ball, but the Senate might. Well, we'll get to that when the time comes. Cranjus McBasketball for 10 says, after seeing the Hegseth confirmation, I'm sure glad McCormick won in Pennsylvania. I don't really like Curtis, but I honestly think Romney would have voted no on Pete's confirmation. I agree. And that's something that, a lot of people said, oh, well, he'll be just as bad as Casey. And it's like, no, he won't. And this is the thing, like, the lesser of two evils, these down ballot races, they do matter. To have McCormick there instead of Casey is absolutely huge, because even if we know he's not perfect, but something like this where you need Trump to build his cabinet, you wouldn't get any Democrat to vote for Hegseth. He would have failed. But because McCormick was able to win, because Republicans down ballot were able to win, you're seeing exactly what's happening. He's not going to be like a full like Murkowski Collins type of figure. He may not be the most solid in the world, but he's good enough for Pennsylvania, and he's doing a good job so far, and I hope he continues to do a good job. So Johnny Heartdog for 5 says, forget the NFL, college football's better. Glad Buckeyes won though, rather than the Ducks. I mean, I like professional. I like college. I've been more of a fan of professional. Maybe it's because I like playing fantasy football. Maybe it's because I like the whole, everything that comes with that, I guess. But there is a problem with the corruption within the NFL. They had their whole woke debacle for the past 5, 6 years, 7 years, honestly. They've toned it down significantly. I hope they continue to do so. But the on-field product is also a major problem. I think the new kickoff rule is a disaster. I think it's a disgrace. I think what they've really been doing with Kansas City as well, with this blatant biased officiating at times, has been a disgrace and really needs to be dealt with as soon as, I don't even know how it could possibly be dealt with at this point. But yeah, it's a problem. You're right, it is a problem. John Waffle says, if the Chiefs win, Trump should deny them a White House visit. Well, I disagree, because look, even if you want to do that on principle, they never got to the 2019-2020 celebration at the White House because of COVID. So they do deserve to go to the Trump White House at least one time, at least not just for that. But I don't know. I think it's a good thing that teams in general are going to be going to the White House, unlike what we saw before, because it kind of shows that the entire culture has shifted back in our favor compared to where it was when Trump was seen as something that was like a, people viewed it in the mainstream as always like a stain on America. Now people are viewing it like, oh no, he is the epitome of America. And, people were wrong then, and even if they're right now, I mean, they have to get some sort of credit for realizing that, right? You have to think so. But I'm just glad that the culture is moving in our direction overall. Jacob Hawley for 20 says, remember, a pardon does not absolve guilt. The Supreme Court has ruled on this before, and since all these people have been pardoned, they can't plead the fifth. If they refuse, they could be arrested for refusing subpoena. I didn't know that. I'd have to look into the ins and outs of the pardon thing and what the pardons entail. There's a big debate going on actually about that stuff. J.R. Williams says, my son was unable to train ATI at Camp Atterbury twice because they were housing unvetted Afghans there. Why do we keep bringing our enemies home? Well, that's a good question. It's true. You have these countries that are war-torn, and then you have people that don't share our values that we are supposed to be fighting, and then we end up taking in a lot of them. It doesn't exactly make sense. I don't know why these people can't find safe countries that are actually more similar to their own countries, like the Gulf states, like Saudi Arabia. They have to have safe zones in that region. We don't have to be the dumping ground for the rest of the world's problems, but for some reason we are, and that needs to stop. And that's part of the appeal of somebody like Donald Trump that says, no, Colombia, you don't want to take your people back into your country that are here illegally. Well, look what we're going to do to you. We're going to punish you for that. And then they'll be like, oh, we're going to throw a temper tantrum about it, but we're going to take them in anyways. And that's exactly what they did. So that's just another win for Trump for sure. Nasty Mandy says, watching Trump dominate Bass in California was great. Oh, yeah. I mean, and the thing is, you had a lot of people in the campaign that said, oh, Donald Trump isn't going to be a good president because he is also cognitively declined. And then you see him dealing with these people, pushing around these, world leaders or whatever. It's like the guy is operating in a more calm demeanor, but he's also stern when he needs to be stern. He will be tactful where he needs to be tactful. And as a result, he's able to achieve a lot. And when you're seeing him in an interaction with the mayor of Los Angeles and he's just calling her out on her BS, it's like, how could anybody in good faith or even any faith at all realistically compare this guy to somebody that actually has cognitive decline like Biden? I don't know, because, well, when Trump's on stage, he likes to do the weave or something. I don't know. But that's how these people were operating during the campaign trail, and feels like it's already just blown up in their face. So Mike Oxart says, bets on how many deportations at the end of the term. I'm going with 2.5 to 3 million. I hope it's more than that. I hope it should be more than that. That'd be a little bit of a letdown. If that's the over-under, I'd want to take the over, but I don't know. Garrett Vranikar says, do you think Fetterman will vote to confirm RFK Jr.? It's possible. I mean, I think that just because he didn't vote to confirm Hegseth doesn't mean he wouldn't vote to confirm RFK. I think it depends on how the hearings go and, whatever happens. But it does seem like RFK does have some friends on the other side of the aisle that are going to confirm him as well, to the point where I'm not too worried about RFK's confirmation. Base Cat with a member chat says, what's the biggest cope that leftoids are having about the Trump presidency so far? To me, it's egg and gas prices. Yeah, well, this is the thing we've heard. Eggs, I didn't even hear about eggs until Trump won the election. Grocery prices were talked about in the campaign trail, but I don't know what the fixation is with eggs. If somebody can deduce that one for me, I'd like to know. Maybe in the super chats or something, if somebody has any reason why they have a unique fixation on eggs. I find it a little bit strange. But as for the grocery prices, they're high, but they've been high for the past 4 years. So they're finally admitting that the prices are high, despite the fact that when Trump was running against them, they were like, oh, the economy's fine, it's doing better, or the rate of inflation's declining. But now they're saying the price is higher, it hasn't fallen down significantly in 6 days. The Donald Trump is some sort of horrible president who broke his campaign promises. It's like, this is not year 3. If it's year 3, you could say that. If inflation doesn't slow down, wages at least don't catch up with it, because I don't know if we're going to see like deflation, but hopefully you could see an increase in wages or something like that. Maybe the energy costs dipping when we get return on investment from like drilling could cause prices to go down a little bit. But it's like, guys, I just really don't understand what's going on. I think these people, they'd be better off being quiet than just going out there and making a fool out of themselves. Because first of all, Trump's approval rating is super high right now, and it's high in part because of the way these people act that has opened up a lot of people's eyes who otherwise might not have been opened about the left. And they still want to act like lunatics, and that's exactly what they've done. Oh, well, the prices of eggs haven't fallen in 6 days, therefore Donald Trump is betrayed. Nobody thinks this way. And by the way, the economy mainly is a vibe thing more so than like the raw price thing. So, the vibe of the economy hasn't changed, but like that's the number one reason why Donald Trump did so well with the economy. It's because the vibes of the economy were horrible, and that did include prices, and that did include a lot of things. But, we're not quite there yet. If it's 2026 and you have the same thing going on and things get worse, then maybe you get to talk. But until that day comes, then no, you're just making a fool out of yourself. You're 6 days into this presidency. It doesn't matter who the president was. Like I said, only Jesus could fix that many problems in 6 days. I mean, the amount of problems that we have to deal with, it's insane. I don't know. Let's see. Jacob Hawley for 10 says U.S. v. Burdick 1915. In the case, the court ruled a pardon carries an imputation of guilt, and that accepting it is an acknowledgement of that guilt, which is interesting because let's say it's accepted. And they accept the pardon. Does that actually change the way they could be tried, though? Or does it technically give them this, label that is about as useless as the Trump is a felon label? Because, nobody cares, and it's going to probably be overturned on appeal when they get to the appeals anyways of that case. Ash K2 says LTE is using the Minnesota State House drama to imply a blue wave because it makes Republicans look bad. He has no shame, can't take him seriously anymore. I'm just surprised he came back. I don't know why he decided to come back, but I guess good for him. I hope he enjoyed his vacation. Hopefully he'll be taking another one in 2 years and then another one 2 years after that. We're not there yet. But no, it has nothing to do with that. Will there be a blue midterm in 26? Yeah, it's possible. I'd hope not. I hope it's as less blue as it possibly can be. But would I bank on Republicans holding the House? Probably not. Would I bank on them holding the Senate? Yeah, pretty much everything I have, I'd bet towards that because of the map. But even if they have a bad midterm, it's not going to have anything to do with the drama that's happening in the Minnesota State House, where there's a contested seat still going on. I have nothing to do with that. Maybe if there's a special election for that seat, then it could impact that special election. But other than that, it's not going to impact anything. I think that people are just wish casting. Mikey79 says eggs supposedly increased in price after the first bird flu death a few weeks ago. Well, that's another thing. It's like some of these things happening. It's like whenever you have an outbreak of lettuce with like one of those chemicals that we see, the price of lettuce typically goes up because there's less lettuce that people know is actually good and edible. So the fact that you see this correlating with this makes it even worse because it's not like, oh, Trump's not even doing enough on this issue. It's because it's something completely unrelated. It's like blaming Trump for the whole, COVID jobs crisis. But in reality, you probably could make a more justifiable argument against that, even if it wouldn't actually hold up, than you could make about this whole eggs debacle, because you're right, it's something bird flu. Donald Trump did not start bird flu. Donald Trump has, the bird flu thing started anyways under Biden. So if anybody would be to blame, it'd be Biden to blame. But they just don't get it. You think they'd at least wait more than 6 days. It was a couple months. Maybe then for them it would be a justifiable thing. We'd still be able to call them crazy about it. But you're 6 days in. You're not winning anybody over by acting like a lunatic, a TDS-ridden lunatic, 6 days into his presidency, saying that he's the one that's tanked the economy, when you said the economy was perfectly fine for the past 4 years. Perfectly fine. So, yeah. All right, we don't have any more super chats. Doesn't seem like we're hitting our goal for the extra stream. We're about 7 super chats short. If you guys would like to help get us closer to that goal, we can. Otherwise, we'll still probably stream on either Tuesday or Thursday this week, because it is true, we want to get a stream in before the end of the month, and there's a lot to talk about now. When you have Donald Trump back in the White House, you didn't have him in the White House for the past 4 years. Noah Bowdy would get one closer. We're 9 out of 15 now, saying we need to support DEI, deport every illegal. Yeah, I've thought of that one before, and it's true. DEI, deport every illegal. It's true. That's the only DEI you need to support. And it's gone, and you have so many people that are acting like it's, oh, this is horrible that DEI is gone. So it's horrible we're not giving people special treatment for just looking different. That's horrible to these people. That's the worst thing in the world, is that people are not being given jobs they're unqualified for in the federal government. Oh, because Donald Trump got rid of an executive order that's obsolete from the 1960s, that he's the worst guy ever. And it's like, no, this is common sense. DEI is literally going to kill it's killed corporate America. It really has. Because you're putting people in positions of power that are not capable of doing those jobs. They probably could find jobs they'd be capable of doing. But what it does is you're putting people that are unqualified in those positions. Because, I don't know, they get some sort of beneficiary thing from the Biden administration, what we saw for the past 4 years. And it's also all the DEI in government has prevented a lot of things from actually coming into fruition because of all the DEI regulations you saw. Remember the CHIPS Act or whatever that was? And nobody ever saw anything of that, because how many DEI initiative regulations do you have that actually prevented it from, actually getting done any of the positive things that it sought out to get done? These are serious, serious questions. Jacob Hawley, we're one more closer to the goal, saying a person who has been pardoned for a crime can be subpoenaed and compelled to testify about that crime because their Fifth Amendment right against well, I get that, but so basically they could testify about the crime, but could they be tried for the crime if they're pardoned, or would they just be able to showcase their crime to the American public? Because that's a little bit of a different situation going on there. Chase M for 5 says, what cabinet pick will have the hardest time getting confirmed? Probably Tulsi. But I still think she probably gets confirmed. Art Pollard says, without illegals or agriculture is in a world of hurt. See, I disagree with this take, because it's the same thing. Well, if slavery, without slavery, who would pick the crops? That was the argument in the 1800s. Now it's without illegals, who's going to pick the crops? And a lot of agricultural workers are not even illegals, technically. I mean, you have a lot of people that come in on like H-2B visas, etc. But the argument just never really fully held up. You have people here illegally. You doubled the illegal population. We don't have double the agriculture in the past 4 years. If you did, maybe prices wouldn't be so high, but that's not how these things work. So it's a little bit deeper than that. I don't know if that was sarcastic of a super chat, but try them for perjury. They could be forced to admit. Well, that still would be good. I think the transparency would be good if that was the case overall, because you're right. They probably can't be tried if they were pardoned for something, but if they could admit to said crime, well, they could also, and they could lie about it, and if they're found lying about it, then they could be tried for perjury. So I guess you found a loophole there. And that's what Jacob sent in the 5, saying if they testify, they could be compelled to give up others, and if they refuse to tell the truth, we could get them for perjury. Exactly. Very interesting. Very interesting. But yeah, we have 1,200 live viewers, guys. Like the stream and subscribe. Let's get to 215K. I don't know if we're going to hit it by the end of the month, but hopefully we can get closer. We're about 100 away. So make sure you guys like and subscribe down below. We'll be wrapping up in probably about 5-10 minutes. It's a late stream. I'm a little bit tired, as you guys probably can tell, but I wanted to do a stream on Sunday because we hit the last goal. If we don't hit today's goal, that's perfectly fine. We can continue it on next live stream as well, which probably will be on Tuesday. But thank you, Patty, for the 2. I appreciate the super sticker. Appreciate it. People in chat are talking about Tulsi and her foreign policy. Well, the reason I think her foreign policy is probably one of her strengths. I mean, she's not somebody who is she's the opposite of a neocon. I mean, some people who don't like her probably share that more neocon worldview. But this notion that Tulsi's some sort of traitor when she served in the military, when she has gone to bat for our country on many different occasions, never really holds up. And even some people like Bernie Sanders have defended Tulsi Gabbard from a lot of those allegations that, oh, she happens to like be a Russian because she doesn't, I don't know, want people dying for Ukraine. Nasty Mandy for 5 says, you think we will see someone like Brandon Johnson get arrested during these raids? Probably not, because they're mainly going after illegals. But if there are crimes that he's explicitly committed, we need a DOJ that's not afraid to go after these people for actual crimes, not, oh, he might have wrote down a date wrong on a ledger, like they tried to do with Trump. Because if that's a crime, how many people in business could be in jail right now? You'd have overflow. You'd literally have overflow. So I don't know about that. Let's see. Love your videos, and I'm curious, what religion are you? Technically Armenian Orthodox. Armenian Orthodox Christian. So that's true. No pleading the 5th once you've been pardoned. That's also huge. Jacob Hawley for 10 says, just for you, Red, maybe you can buy a singular egg or single gallon of gas with this super chat. I'm not going to lie. Still waiting for the Trump-Bernie ticket. My dream. Well, it's likely not going to happen. There is still too much of a difference between those two wings. But I will say that I think that maybe later on in Trump's term, he could get to some like reform on the healthcare system. I don't know how that would work, but it's probably not going to be what the far left wants, and it's probably not going to be what like the establishment Republicans want. It's probably would have to be somewhere in the middle, hopefully something efficient and something that could actually work. But I don't know. We'll see. But a Trump anyone ticket will never happen anyways, because Donald Trump is not eligible for a 3rd term, despite how many memes we can make about it, or how much we can talk about, oh, well, what if we repealed the 22nd? It's just not realistically going to happen, even though it'll be entertaining. I don't know if Trump really wants to be president till he's 86, even though I'm pretty sure if anybody could do it, it would be him. I mean, Biden definitely wanted to, but that was more of a, I have dementia and my ego is the size of the Washington Monument. So Eric C. B912 says, why are Dems obsessed with... That's a good question. Why are they obsessed with the egg prices? I wish I could tell you. I don't know. Is it something Freudian? Maybe. Is it because they typically don't have a lot of kids and they secretly realize it's a problem? I don't know. It could be. Maybe. Maybe not. Chase M says, why do you support Biggs over Robeson in Arizona? I don't think Biggs has an easy path to victory. Well, the polls in the primary, from what I can tell, have him up. And we might be getting another poll from certain sources within the next week or so that has him up by even more. I don't really understand why the hype is about Robeson either, because this is the thing, is Biggs is somebody that is, people have been talking about him like he's some like Mark Robinson type of candidate, when in reality he's not. I mean, he's a House Freedom Caucus member, but he has appealed to the establishmentarian voters, despite his record, hence why he outruns Trump every time he's up for re-election. And he also has appeal to the MAGA base, So he kind of is somebody that has widespread appeal, because the Arizona Republican Party is a very divided party, because there are a lot of like the McCain types, and then there's all the MAGA types. So somebody that can appeal to both wings instead of somebody who appeals to one but not the other is probably the ideal candidate to run in that particular race. Now, in terms of the ropes and stuff, I don't know why people think she's a good candidate. Why? Because she ran a primary race and lost a primary to Carrie Lake, that all of a sudden she's a good candidate herself? That's not how these things work. There's skeletons in her closet. Abortion, she said, off-the-wall things in that department that would not sit well with average voters, especially because abortion's become like a top issue in these gubernatorial elections that Democrats are able to exploit. And it's like, Biggs is tough on immigration. He's tough on the border. I think that's probably the angle to take against somebody like Katie Hobbs, who is not popular because she's been partially very weak on that issue, is a reason why she's not popular. So overall, I don't see the problem with Biggs. I don't see what's so good about Robeson other than the fact that she has a bunch of money. But if she's going to be in a primary, she's going to end up wasting all of that in the primary again, to the point where she won't have any left in the general. So I don't really see the strength there that she brings to the table. Jacob Hawley says, maybe if I'm lucky, we'll get a J.D. Vance Roe Conant. I mean, the problem is a lot of these people on the far left they're too woke to, I guess you would say, for it to sit well with them to join up with an actual, like, nationalist, populist type of Republican, like a Vance type. I think Vance kind of embodies what I would want out of some of these other people. The general economic pragmatism mixed with the strong national aspect of it. The anti-globalism. The Green Renegade says, who should J.D. Vance run with in 2028? I have no idea. And, I mean, who knows? Marco Rubio's been acting very, very solid lately, and part of it is maybe he wants to join the ticket. Now, that's not going to be popular with a lot of people because of who he was in 2016, and he has a lot of work to do. But from what I'm seeing him, like, acting right now, he's acting like he wants that position, and Secretary of State is usually like the next in line. So is he going to be on the short list? Yes. Is he going to get it? I don't know. I don't know who's going to be next up. 2028 is 4 years from now, so it could be a lot of people. Could be anybody. Could it be Don Jr. and you have a Vance Trump ticket? I don't know. It's unlikely, but you never know. It'd be funny if you just reverse the ticket at that point. Basically. Marilyn Degatti 83 says, do you think RFK Jr. will be confirmed? Yeah, I think he will. I'm not worried about him. As I said, he has a lot of friends on the other side of the aisle, people that'll likely come through. I think he's got about 6 or 7 Democrat votes. He might not really lose very many Republican votes either. So, yeah, Tulsi's another one I think could be on that short list, depending on what she does over the next 4 years. So, do I think Vivek will be able to get back to what he was before? I don't know what Vivek is doing. Is he in Trump's orbit? Did Trump push him out of the orbit? There's been a lot of conflicting reports on that, and I'm not really sure myself. But I've always had mixed feelings on the guy, and I still continue to do so. I mean, he says a lot of good things, and at the same time, he is very slippery, whether you like the guy or not. He's very skilled when he's talking. He's very skilled at debating. He's entertaining, but at the same time, when he answers questions, sometimes he just doesn't answer them, but he sounds like he is answering them when he's not answering them. So, I don't know. Could Youngkin be on that? Yeah, he could be on the short list. I don't know if he'd get it. But in terms of Rubio, he has impressed lately with what he said about immigration. He said he wrote an op-ed where he said mass migration is ruining the country. It's decimating young men in particular. And seeing that rhetoric from somebody who was a part of the Gang of Eight just 10, 11 years ago, I mean, it's a good thing whether you trust him or not. It's a good thing. I like what I'm seeing. I like what I see so far from him trying to stop foreign aid as much as possible at the State Department. He's doing a good job so far. Does that immediately warrant him becoming the VP in 2028? I don't think it does. I think the next 4 years will be telling, but I like what I'm seeing so far from every aspect of this administration, from the Secretary of State to what I'm seeing with Trump, to what I'm seeing even with Vance guiding Trump, making sure that Trump gave a blanket pardon to every single 1-6er, not leaving anybody behind. Vance played an instrumental role in that, and he's also kind of a spokesperson. He's still going on the Sunday shows. He's still decimating. He decimated CBS earlier today. And he's somebody that can be like Trump's, he's kind of like he's always been like the lawyer for Trump in a way, the lawyer for the administration. These people are coming at him, and he'll defend the record. He'll defend Trump. He'll defend the administration, and he does it in a very eloquent, impressive manner, and you absolutely love to see it. So I hope he does it more. Chase M says, I live in Florida 6. Why don't you like Fine? Well, he's always been some sort of a neocon. If you look at his record, even with the whole 1-6 stuff, he was jumping, he's blaming Trump right the second it was happening, just like a lot of the other weak-minded people in the establishment. And he's always been a flip-flopper of sorts. I don't really trust the guy. I think Baker is just somebody who is unabashedly gonna be pro-Trump. Not just flip endorsements because he knows Trump's going to win and try to make a spectacle out of it, which is why Trump endorsed him. It doesn't mean it was the right move. I think Baker's just that much better overall. Let's see. Nasty Mandy says, wouldn't it be better to pick someone not from a solid red state? Youngkin could help with that. If you're talking about VP, I don't know. It depends. Because VPs rarely deliver states. I mean, the Democrats had this debate with, do we pick Josh Shapiro? And honestly, if they pick Shapiro, I still don't think they would have won, to be honest. But maybe Pennsylvania would have been closer. But I don't know. I don't think it matters. I think you need to pick somebody that can help you win. I think Vance helped Trump win just because he balanced the ticket out in areas that a lot of people wouldn't anticipate him balancing out the ticket in. He brought in younger voters to the fold. He definitely helped him out a lot just by talking to people on the other side in a very intellectual manner. Helped Trump out in that department. So you need somebody that helps you win, for sure. And could Youngkin help Vance win? Sure. Are there people that could do it? Yeah, I don't know who else it would be. But there's plenty of people come 2028. Maybe we don't know. We didn't know who J.D. Vance was in January of 2021. I mean, obviously, if you saw the movie, I didn't know who he was, is what I'm saying. But then a few months later, he was calling me, asking me for my endorsement. Now he's vice president. So it shows you how crazy things happen in politics with what's going on. From point A to point B being 4 years apart. It's just absolutely crazy and surreal. But you don't know who Vance's VP is going to be. We might not even know who they are. Maybe it'll be someone from the private sector, just like Trump was from the private sector. Let's see. All right, I think we're going to wrap it up. We've been going on for an hour and 8 minutes. Let's see. Yeah, we'll wrap it up, guys. So anyways, make sure you like the stream down below, subscribe, comment down below, hit the bell for notifications. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle out.